Thank you for waiting, everybody. I think we're going to kick off the session today. So thank you all very much for joining and giving up your time. I hope you're all safe and well. Welcome to the CDW webinar about remote working and empowering your employees to work from home and hopefully to how to maximize that experience and that productivity. We're delighted to be joined by our friends from Microsoft and Citrix, and let's have a quick rundown of the speakers and the runners and riders, so to speak. So my name is Matthew Slorick, and I'm the Managing Director for CDW Middle East and Africa. I'm going to give you a very short 10-minute overview of who CDW are, basically a word from your sponsor, if you like, and then I'm going to be delighted to hand over to Bradley from Microsoft, who will talk to you around Microsoft's cloud strategy and, more importantly, the cloud solution, the cloud architecture that Microsoft bring into the VDI space. He'll be followed by Khaled from Citrix, and he will be talking about how Citrix can augment the Microsoft Azure space for VDI and remote working. So I'll just dive straight into the CDW overview sheet. CDW is a US headquartered company based in Vernon Hills, Illinois. We're a NASDAQ quoted company with $18 billion of revenue in our last financial year. The majority of that, or at least 50% of that, is from the US federal government, and the, I guess, remaining 30% is North America, and then finally international activities make up the remainder. We consider ourselves to be a truly global systems integrator and value-added reseller. We have offices in the UK, Ireland, Netherlands, South Africa, here in the Middle East, India, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Australia. So a very broad horizontal global coverage piece. The only two large markets that we aren't active in at the moment are South America and Russia, and those are clearly aspirational goals for the future. We are a organization of just over 10,000 co-workers. I think the significant stat there is that at least half of them are in service delivery roles of one type or another, and so we try and keep our mix of delivery capability much higher than our competitors. The business here in UAE was established in 2007, and we're delighted to say that we currently stand at 35 full-time consultants in country available to our customers. A quick note about our Microsoft partnership. CDW is one of 5 global partners that sits at the very top of the relationships that Microsoft has with its channel. We are active in a what's called an AGI, an Advanced Growth Initiative partnership with Microsoft, which means we have a joint investment of over $100 million a year in specific cloud-based resources, the goal being to double our joint cloud business over the next 5 years. Our total business partnership is somewhere in the region of $4.5 billion globally. Thank you. So CDW, as I mentioned, is a systems integrator and value-added reseller, a solutions provider. What we're looking to deliver for customers is end-to-end IT capability, and that's both from a product device technology perspective as well as a vertical technology perspective. So we have a broad range of partnerships. Obviously, Microsoft and Citrix are just 2 of those, but we offer specialist delivery in healthcare, insurance, financial services, and many other vertical industries. Okay. From a technology perspective, when we talk about delivering remote working, or indeed what we would consider to be a today technology stack, obviously our history comes from a legacy environment of sort of client server, where typically customers had on-premise data centers and a distributed client device network. And we're now moving much more to a hybrid cloud environment, whether that's on-prem cloud delivery or public cloud delivery. And we would look to partner with what we consider to be, best of breed technology partners in this space. So when we look at client devices, as you'd expect, we partner with all of the tier 1 client device manufacturers. We have special relationships, particularly in region with Dell and Apple. And we are delighted to go to market with them as a close partner. One of the expanding parts of our business, irrespective of where we find ourselves today, is around the collaboration piece. So we are a strategic partner with Microsoft around its Microsoft 365 suite of products, including Microsoft Teams. And we are hugely busy in that area, enabling people to customers to really embrace the full suite of tools and applications that the Microsoft 365 suite brings. We have other strategic partners that allow us to make sure we reach all of our users wherever they happen to be, and Ribbon and Poly is a good example of where we're collaborating with them to join legacy networks, analog voice networks potentially, as well as video conferencing and internet-based activity. You'd expect us to have a strong networking layer, and we're very delighted that we partner with Cisco globally in a big way to ensure that our customers are connected, and we supplement that with edge technology, which we would typically look at customers like Fortinet, Barracuda, F5 and the others. More and more now we're also looking at how we can maximize telecommunications, increase the quality of service and reduce the price point, and that's where you'll see us partnering with organizations like VMware's VeloCloud, ForcePoint and indeed Citrix in its NetScaler business as well as its traditional business. Okay. So holding these partnerships allows us to engage with our customers at a number of points along their journey, and where we like to think that we're able to take a customer on an entire journey, or indeed join them at any point along that cycle. So we have people that allows us to get involved in the trusted advisor role, solution architects, that allow us technical design authority, that type of activity at the beginning of a customer's journey. We then obviously have those partnerships. If you've seen, you've only today just seen a tiny amount of the over 4,000 partners that CDW hold within its portfolio, that allows customers to then assess a technology, typically through a POC or a demonstration. We might then get involved with the customer and understand how they want to leverage our professional services in terms of an implementation project. And one thing that we spend a lot of time doing post-implementation, I think that can be overlooked, is helping with adoption, particularly in the Microsoft 365 space, where we really talk to the fact that customers rarely leverage the entire power of an application that they've purchased. And we really want to spend time with them so that they can see the true ROI of adopting these types of tools. And then finally, in the managed space, CDW's goal, I guess, is really very, very straightforward. We used to be a managed service provider in your data center, and that was our business for the last 25 years. We now want to be your managed service provider in your cloud, hybrid cloud environment, and that's the plan for the next 25 years. So we have a huge investment in that space. Thank you. So I'm now going to hand over to Bradley from Microsoft. Thank you for listening.
Hi, good morning to everybody, and thank you for taking time to join the work from home webinar today between CDW, Microsoft and Citrix. So I'm just going to do a quick introduction. So my name is Bradley Stewart. I'm a Microsoft Cloud Solution Architect. Some of you may have seen me at some of the events that we do around the region. I was recently presenting at Ignite. I presented the Windows Virtual Desktop and some networking solutions there. I'm part of the One Commercial Partner division. So this division in Microsoft is the partner facing side. So I work very closely with CDW and Citrix across the region. I'm based here in Dubai in the UAE. I've been here for 3 years, and my specialization is in Azure specifically. So all things Azure Cloud, SAP on Azure, data center migration, and cybersecurity, which I believe is a very important aspect of all types of deliveries today, and definitely something that we would like to speak to you about regarding VDI and solutions on Azure. So let me just set the scene in terms of how we see the VDI landscape at the moment, our current experience. So VDI is one of those solutions which is very special in the world of technology today, because we see that it's typically the most secure and most security conscious organizations are the first ones to adopt this particular type of technology. So we see with security and regulation, like around financial services, healthcare and government, they really like VDI solutions, and we're going to have a look at today why VDI solutions are so good. And it's really around being able to control the desktop, being able to control the data and your applications and the things which are important to your business. You know, with the current state of affairs in the world, a lot of different organizations are having to work remotely, and having that data leave the data centers and going on to personal devices and not being controlled is something which is a real problem for a lot of regulations. So with the VDI, we're actually able to keep that data within the data center. We're able to secure it with all of the normal and advanced security measures that you would protect your servers and your applications with. We're able to enforce different types of policies which might be much harder to apply to your users' end devices or their own personal devices. We also see this with the elastic workforce as well. So lots of mergers and acquisitions are happening. We're seeing an increase in short-term employees who need to be able to access different types of applications. Perhaps they can't go into the office like they traditionally would and be supplied a device. Actually, contractor and partner access is very important as well. So how do you provide contractors access to your applications or to your services, but also ensure that they are adhering to the same security standards which your organization has defined? One of my own personal favorites is with the bring your own device on mobile. I believe that this is definitely there's a huge future behind this in terms of users being able to access services from the devices they feel most comfortable with, without having to travel with multiple different types of devices, without having to have lots of security and administration applications installed on their own devices. They're able to access securely the applications and the data which are required for their day-to-day business. And this is done because the desktops are under the organization's control. We're able to apply all of the same policies to these devices. And yet the end devices which the users are using, such as their laptops or their tablets or their phones, we don't really have to make too many changes because there is never any data which is downloaded onto these devices. Call centers and branch workers, again, this is another area we're seeing huge movements in terms of being able to provide those services and business continuity, but at the same time, providing that same level of performance and security. And then last but not least is definitely the specialized workloads. So around design and engineering, I'm seeing an increased amount of requests for this as an Azure engineer, as an Azure architect working across the region, buying devices for every single employee, for instance, who might only do 3 hours of computer design a day or 4 hours of computer design a day. When you take into account all of the other meetings and activities they have to do, it sometimes isn't as cost effective as what it can be in the cloud when you're able to provision these virtual machines with advanced graphical capabilities and only pay for them for the time that you're using them. So if you, for instance, if your user needs those capabilities between 10 a.m. and 12 p.m., you only pay for them during that particular time. And then, of course, the legacy applications and the software development and test. This again is another area, rather than buying physical devices where we're able to provision desktops in the cloud and be able to do all the testing, that is required in order to keep these applications secure and move forward. So what is Windows Virtual Desktop? So Windows Virtual Desktop is a platform delivered by Microsoft. This has to be the first thing in your mind. This is a platform delivered by Microsoft where on our Azure cloud, and we're going to take a look today at what is Azure cloud, which other regions is it available in. But Windows Virtual Desktop allows you, and Azure, should I say, allows you to deliver the only multi-session Windows 10 experience. A multi-session is very important for you to be able to get the full efficiency out of a VDI environment utilizing Windows 10 or any other Windows offering. We're going to take a look today also how we can optimize these environments for Office 365 and for Teams. Also, we're able to migrate Windows Server, RDS desktops and applications as well. So this is something that is very important to understand, that it's not just desktops that we can publish. And what I mean by that is it's not every user has to log on and then log into a desktop. Actually, through this service, we're also able to provision applications. So a user can use an application, which typically they might need to be in the office for and behind the local network to be able to access. We're able to provision those securely through Windows Virtual Desktop. And then one of the critical factors that I personally have seen a lot of recently is about ability to be able to deploy with speed. I personally have worked with a lot of customers over the last few weeks who've needed to be able to make changes very rapidly in their organization, and to wait for hardware to be ordered, for that hardware to be installed and so forth, wasn't an option. And we're going to take a look at that on the next slide. So what are the advantages of Windows Virtual Desktop? What are the strengths behind this particular product? So we're blending here the best of Microsoft's technologies. I'm sure that most of you today on the webinar are aware of Microsoft 365 and its dominance in the market, but also the security solutions which back that. So as part of Azure Active Directory, which is an integrated part of Windows Virtual Desktop, you have solutions such as conditional access. So conditional access is where we can set a policy to say only this particular region or this particular country IP addresses from here can log in, or only from particular devices can they log in, and we can set conditions based on the requirements of the organization to greatly enhance the security. Multi-factor authentication is again another integrated part to this solution, and is very important in today's world of cybersecurity and threats that Microsoft recognizes, and we try to educate our community that a password isn't enough anymore. A username and password is not enough. Just because we see the correct username and password does not mean that we believe that that is the correct type of authentication. We believe in zero trust. So multi-factor authentication is included, as well as you would expect, role-based access control. So we can provide different users, different administrators, different permissions over different host pools, as you would expect from a solution like this. On top of that, we have Azure, which is known to be the most compliant and compliant cloud in the world, compliant public cloud. We have compliance offerings, and you're welcome to check these online on the Microsoft website, of all of the different regulatory bodies that we adhere to, whether it's the ISO 27001 and all the different ISOs that we have, as well as the governments of the US and the UK and many different types of financial services and so forth. Microsoft takes cybersecurity very seriously. We have over 3,500 global cybersecurity experts who are working. We're working with CDW, we're working with their customers, we're working across all different solution areas, and we're collecting. Our information comes from all of the trillions of global signals we're collecting daily. Think about all of the different customers Microsoft has, from all of its different data center offerings, its Office 365, and its Teams, and many other different solutions we have. We're collecting trillions of signals every day, and we're analyzing these with artificial intelligence. And when we see something which doesn't look right in any part of the world, we're able to protect all of our customers throughout the world, because we're collecting these signals and correlating them centrally. And just to show you the type of investment Microsoft is making, we spend over $1 billion a year in cybersecurity. And then if you add those two together and then bring in the Windows Virtual Desktop, we've not forgotten about security. In fact, security is at the forefront of this particular solution. So we have Reverse Connect, and I have more details of the Reverse Connect, but briefly, what Reverse Connect means is that we don't have any incoming ports for this particular solution. You connect to the service, and then the service will connect back out to you. And this ensures that we have the ultimate type of security there, that we're not allowing incoming connections. As I mentioned briefly, we have Azure AD authentication, the biggest directory in the world, and all of the different security solutions that we have as part of Azure AD, as well as domain joined virtual machines. So those of you who might not be aware, the domain join means when you have your own domain, your Active Directory domain, you join your machines, your servers, your client machines to that domain, and through that domain, you're able to specify policies which can control what the users can do or can't do. For instance, you might want to set a proxy so that all users, web traffic goes through a proxy, or you don't want users to be able to do certain things on the machines. Through AD, we're able to control and manage all of that. So a brief look at the architecture. I'm not going to go into too much details today, but I wanted to be able to show you exactly what is provided by Microsoft and by CDW. And if you look here at the top, managed by Microsoft, this is the PaaS service that's being offered. So no longer do you have to worry about the gateway, the broker, the load balancing. These parts are taken care of by the service itself. And what's in your control here is really the things which matter most to your business. So if we take a look at the Windows 10 and the remote applications and so forth, these are the things that really we're able to help you with, and CDW are definitely able to help you with deploying these types of operating systems, securing them, hardening their operating systems, virtualizing the applications. We're able to use tools, existing tools that you might be familiar with, such as Configuration Manager or Microsoft Intune. And then, of course, all of this is backed by Microsoft Data Center at the bottom there. And we're going to take a look at that in more detail in a moment. So how do we differentiate this service, which we're discussing today, a Microsoft VDI solution, against other solutions? If we take a look on the left-hand side, the left-hand side is the traditional way of deploying a VDI or an RDS type of deployment. And really, time is one of the first things that you realize. If you speak to your teams today and say, well, how long will it take you to procure all of this equipment, the servers, the network, to find the data center space? How long does it then take to then install all of that and to get it set up? How long does it take then regularly you having to maintain that, do all the patching of the firmware on the hardware, update all of the different types of virtualization you have, update the brokering and the entitlement as well. This not only is an initial lot of hard work and a lot of time, but actually an ongoing amount of hard work and time, which is going to cost you more in the long run. If you take a look on the right-hand side as the service that we're able to provide, we can see that time is something we're saving initially on a huge scale. And I can tell you this from my own experience of working with customers over the last weeks and over the last few years even, that this goes back to one of the great benefits of the cloud, that if you want to spin up 1,000 desktops today in the UAE or in Europe or in Brazil or in America or anywhere you would like that there's an Azure data center, you can do that straight away. That is one of the great powers of the cloud. And to be able to do that on the traditional way is almost impossible unless you were to have had a huge amount of hardware resources ready and waiting and just depreciating that whole time. So we can see here that that's taken care of by Microsoft and it's ready to go, ready to be deployed today for those of you who are interested. And then we see at the top there, we have the image management and the entitlement. This is really the real value add that can be provided to you via working with CDW and Microsoft and Citrix around getting the right images for you, understanding your applications, doing those assessments, hardening those images, updating those images periodically, of course, with different patches and all of the associated things that you might require to be changed and added over time. So, with all that being said, let's take a look at the different pillars that are supporting this particular service. So we have a very strong partner ecosystem. So starting from the bottom, I just want to mention that, and to reiterate what Matt said at the start, that this Microsoft and CDW and Citrix have a huge global relationship. Not only are we working together in this region, we're working together in every region of the world on some exciting deals. And this is not a new relationship. This relationship has been going on for a very long time. The economics of the cloud, in terms of being flexible, in terms of being cost effective, but also in terms of operationalizing these costs. At the moment, I'm seeing most businesses in the world are trying to hold on to their cash because the future is very much unknown, although we remain positive. So being able to operationalize these costs, to be able to pay for what you use and to be able to scale as your business is growing or growing up or down is a massive economic advantage of being able to do this in the cloud. Of course, with Azure, standardized infrastructure, consistent infrastructure throughout the whole world, with it's one of the largest networks in the world as well, which you're able to utilize Microsoft's backbone network. If you have offices in different parts of the region or the world, do contact us and let us know. We can let you know how you're able to leverage Microsoft's network to be able to provide these services. And of course, all of the security services, if you take a look at Forrester and Gartner, you will find Microsoft as a leader in pretty much every one of the security services fields now. The user experience, Microsoft is very much well known for providing a great user experience all the way back from all of its operating systems and services. And as I mentioned, with our security products that we have, from owning the world's largest directory service to the advanced SIEM platforms that we're able to provide and advanced threat protection services that we're able to provide, all the way down to your end devices, might I add. We're in a very strong position, and this is all under that Windows Virtual Desktop hat. So it's not just we're providing you a virtual desktop, but we're providing you all of this value as well. So we believe it's the best virtualized end user experience. And we can see here, starting from the top left, that you're able to utilize any platform that you wish. And this is very important. We understand that a lot of our customers, a lot of our partners' customers, they're utilizing MacBooks. We have no problem with that. They're utilizing iPads. We have no problem with that, or Windows machines. We even provide HTML5 clients for you so that you're able to access from any device which has a HTML5 capabilities, basically a web browser. One of the great advancements in the recent technology is the containerized user profiles, for instance. So Microsoft has a solution called FSLogix. And for those of you who remember terminal services from many years ago, the larger the user's profile used to be, the longer it would take to log on, which was very frustrating for users. And I certainly remember those days of having to set policies where users couldn't have more than 5 gigabytes or something similar like that, or even less perhaps as their profile size. Well, gone are those days through the advancements of technology that we now virtualize the user's profile. So regardless in Windows Virtual Desktop of whether your profile's 10 gigabytes or 200 gigabytes, it will be attached to that particular instance at exactly the same speed. We're able to deliver, of course, a local Windows experience. We're able to do this through provisioning these desktops anywhere that we have an Azure region in the world. So if you're in the UK, we can provision desktops in the UK, we can provision in Europe, we can provision in the Middle East, we can provision in the States, and we can provision in Asia. I mean, we're almost on every single continent of the world now, so we can really give you that local experience and speed. We have native Office 365 performance. So of course, 365 is Microsoft's productivity engine and productivity solutions. And we must go back to Microsoft's mission statement that our mission is to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. And I really believe that at the top of that is actually our Windows Virtual Desktop solution and our Office 365. You'll see in the top right there that we have enhanced protocol support. So we have an enhanced protocol to give you that efficiency, whether that's bandwidth utilization and through Teams enhancements as well. And you will find through our partner Citrix as well, they have a fantastic HDX protocol, which is super enhanced for all of the different types of media and Office workloads. And you will hear more about that in the coming presentation also. So just to take a look back again, to step back onto the security, because this again, whilst you're making these rapid changes due to enhancing your productivity due to the current situation, it's very important that we remember that security is still number one. And absolutely, the great thing about this solution is the way that it has been designed. So it all starts with Azure AD. So as I mentioned earlier, we can configure conditional access to say that only from known devices can somebody log in. Only from an IP address in the UAE or in Saudi or from Qatar or from any place that you would like can log in. And we can set multiple different policies so that maybe somebody is logging from the right IP address, but maybe it's the first time they've logged in from a new device. So maybe from that, we can set another condition to say, let's make them do multi-factor authentication just to be extra sure. So there's many different types of ways we can greatly enhance the security. As I mentioned before, we have the reduced attack surface. So through the reverse connect technology, we don't need to open the inbound ports. And for those of you who are security aware, you will be aware that as soon as you put a virtual machine or give anything internet access, there are people knocking on the door all the time. So one of the great ways to be able to reduce the surface area is not to have a door. And that's one of the ways that we've greatly enhanced the security of this product. So we're able to do granular access control. So granular access control, again, goes back to our role-based access control. So you might have an admin of payroll or an admin of finance or an admin of a particular country, and you want them to have access over those desktops and that infrastructure. You can basically set the access control as per your requirements in your organization. And of course, for those users who require isolated sessions, we're able to provide isolated sessions for those. And then, of course, where you're looking for the efficiency and you're looking for those multi-sessions, we're able to provide the multi-session environment, which can save you a humongous amount of money. So if you were to take a 2,000 user VDI solution, if you want to use Windows 10 on any other cloud in the world, you would have to provision 2,000 desktops. In Azure, we're able to do multi-session, and you're not able to do that in any other cloud. And I'm seeing maybe 5, maybe 10, maybe more users per desktop. So you can see that there can be anywhere, there can be a huge cost saving. And we can go into that in further detail at another time if you're interested. So again, this comes back to Azure and Microsoft's cloud strategy. We have the largest geographical footprint of any cloud provider, and I'm sure you were all aware, or I hope you're all aware, that we were the first to establish as a major cloud provider here in the UAE, because we take this region very seriously. We've also announced data centers in Qatar and in Israel and other parts of the region. We've also, a year or two ago, opened data centers in South Africa. And Microsoft is not stopping there. We're definitely investing. We're definitely bringing forward for our customers and bringing these services as close to them as possible. So superior economics. So as I mentioned, Windows 10 multi-session is what we're able to deliver on Azure, which can see savings of around 70%. And you're able to go online and do the calculations yourself. It's very easy to do on the Azure pricing calculator, and you will see what a huge difference that multi-session makes. One of the great benefits of this solution as well, if you look in the middle, is the licensing. If you are a Microsoft 365 customer with E3 or E5, in fact, I have a slide on this in a moment, you will find that actually this Windows Virtual Desktop is already included in your service. You don't pay for the service. You don't pay for the Windows licensing. You just pay for the infrastructure that you're utilizing from the data center perspective. And we'll take a look at that in greater detail. So as we'll see here, that I'm sure most of you as customers are already utilizing Microsoft 365. And as you see here on the left, if you have an E5 or an E3 license, an F1 license, a business license, you're eligible to use this service, and you only pay for the infrastructure below. We don't even charge you for the Windows licensing. For those of you who want to be able to do to access server workloads, all that you require is the RDS CAL license with software assurance on top of that as well. So as well as all of the cost saving you can do, we can also look at reserved instances, again, where you can save a further 72% versus pay-as-you-go pricing, depending on your requirements. So I wanted to just briefly talk around Samsung DeX. I'm a big believer in one device of the future, and end users not having to utilize multiple devices. You will find that with Samsung DeX, it is integrated and completely compatible with Windows Virtual Desktop. So this means if you have a Note 9 or a Note 10 or any of the other of Samsung's top of the range, you can plug that phone into a monitor, and then you're able to access a full Windows 10 desktop in the cloud. So imagine the power of utilizing all of your machine-heavy server client operating system applications, but through your mobile phone on a Windows 10 desktop. And you can just take that phone anywhere you go in the world and be able to utilize it. That's the power of the combination. So this is my last slide. And Citrix is one of our biggest partners in the world for VDI and has been for a very long time. Citrix have partnered with us for Windows Virtual Desktop, and their solution in combination with Windows Virtual Desktop is able to utilize the multi-session benefits that you get through our platform, and they have many different features that they can offer to you as well as all of their different management interfaces and so forth. So with that being said, I'm now going to hand over to our Citrix team. I would like to thank you all for attending today, and I look forward to speaking to you all in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you, Bradley. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Khaled Abdel Latif. I'm the Microsoft Alliance lead, covering the region of Middle East and Africa, as well as Central and Eastern Europe. Happy to be today with you to talk about how Citrix and Microsoft are working together to give you the best-in-class solution when it comes to virtualization. So this has been more than 30 years of partnership, in which we have accomplished a lot, and we developed this to bring benefits to our joint customers, as well as joint partners like CDW here today. So Azure is actually, as a cloud, is our preferred strategic cloud, both for our customers and for us internally as well. And we're, in return, we've been authorized by Microsoft to provide the benefits of WVD and extend the functionality, as you will see here today. And our networking solution and SD-WAN, we are the preferred partner for both Microsoft Office 365 and Azure Virtual WAN. And we proud ourselves of being the day one support for all Microsoft technologies, as well as being a gold certified global ISV strategic for Microsoft. So this is a joint opportunity for everyone, customers, partners, and the market. We always think about our solutions. If you think about Microsoft as a Swiss knife that provides you with a lot of tools and functionalities, think about our combination of Microsoft and Citrix of extending this Swiss knife, providing more tools to the end users. And this is what we will see today when we're talking about WVD and our solutions. Without going into details, and before going into the details on the WVD, I'm sure some of you who are already an existing Citrix customer knows about Citrix Workspace, which integrates all. It's our premium offering that integrates all our stack together and takes the virtualization to the next level, beyond the typical VDI and the infrastructure. So more, it's the combining together the virtualization of the desktops, virtualization of applications, as well as virtualizing the files. So it provides a container for all your applications on top of the VDI layer, and we've added an intelligence to that approach as well. So rather than having to go out of the environment to start a new application, all what you need to do is just to click on one of those, we call them micro apps. So if you have an expense application and you're getting expense claims from your employees, you just click on that news feed, if you like, which looks like more of a Facebook style, and without going outside of your environment, which has a single sign-on security and all the security policies applied on that container, you can you be more productive as a user and not leave the environment and do all this from your own from your own interface that you're used to. So back to the VDI part, the basic component of this. Citrix, this has been the bread and butter of Citrix for over 30 years now, and traditionally we used to provide this through one of two scenarios. It's the desktop delivery options used to be either go with a Windows Server desktop, which provided the multiple users and the scalability on the same virtual hardware, but it was not exactly the same look and feel, and you might have had some compatibility issues with certain applications. The other delivery options was on Windows 10 or Windows 7. That's the traditional VDI deployment, which means, yes, you get the compatibility, but you don't get the scalability of a server. But now, with the introduction of the third scenario with the WVD, the Windows Virtual Desktop from Microsoft, provides that multi-session scalability of a Windows server, but the compatibility issue is solved, and it's available. As we all know, WVD is only available on Azure, not on on-prem or any other cloud. So now we talk about how can we accelerate the adoption and how Citrix will add value to your WVD environment. So on the day of the announcement of Windows Virtual Desktop, Microsoft needed partners to be ready from day one, and we've worked together. Again, this is how we have been doing the partnership with Microsoft. So the engineering teams have been working many months before the launch, and we were proud to be one of the launch partners. And we are authorized to the amplification of the WVD and extending the functionality. So we're approved provider to have the centralized hybrid management of the virtual apps and desktops on Azure, side by side with all the on-premise deployment besides the Azure deployment of WVD. So our offering here, we focus on three offering or options, if you like. Our premium offering, which I mentioned earlier, is our Citrix Workspace, which encompasses everything that we do. And we have on the left side, I like to call it our pre-packaged offering, which is for the lower end, Citrix Managed Desktop. It's a turnkey solution by Citrix on Windows 10 desktop on Azure for any customer in the mid-market or the SMB space. It sits on Azure tenancy, on our Azure tenancy, so you can have a single bill that includes everything, but still you have the option to bring your own license or your own Azure tenancy. So this is very unique offering on top of WVD. We're using the WVD capabilities and multi-user session as the layer that we build on top. It's very suitable for situations like mergers and acquisitions, seasonal workers, domain or non-domain joint desktops. And I'm sure in the current situation we have, and the unfortunate situation everyone is under today with the COVID-19, this is also one of the solutions that can get you up and running very, very, very quickly. And of course, in the middle is the Citrix virtual apps and desktops, our cloud services, which is our key solution that is aligned with WVD. All of those options, they sit on Azure, along with our networking technology. We are the only authorized partner to deploy Azure Virtual SD-WAN, which is a key element when it comes to any latency issues and impact on the user experience. So we have a lot of key features that really sets and adds to the basic functionalities of WVD, and this is actually a selection of maybe the top 10 features, and this is basically a Microsoft slide that I have borrowed for our presentation today. So one of those few of those top 10 ones is the hybrid environment. When you have legacy, if you want to go on-prem, if it's WVD, then you need an Azure stack, which is an additional cost. If you have a multi-cloud policy, technically our solution can manage this hybrid environment of WVD, on-prem, multiple clouds. So that's an additional capability on top of WVD. HDX, which is affects the user experience, the security, which we'll talk a little bit more, things like session recording, then application protection, watermarking. So these are few of the additional functionalities, and many more. So maybe to drill down a little bit more, if you are a Teams user or coming from Skype for Business, and you're used to this, our HDX technology will help in enhancing the user experience. We're optimizing this performance, and you get the best user experience in video and audio calls. And we're the only partner authorized by Microsoft to do this. So based on our engineering heritage, and we did that earlier with Skype for Business. So we're building this into Teams. So with the experience that you have of Teams in a virtualized environment with WVD, having Citrix will give you a much enhanced capabilities to build on that. One of our key components of the Citrix Microsoft, the partnership on WVD, is the ability to deliver our HDX technologies to WVD. Our HD technology continues to evolve and continues to get bandwidth friendly. It's delivering the best possible HD experience, no matter where you are in the world. And no matter on which device you are running your application. Even no matter what devices are plugged into your device, into your endpoint. We will map those peripherals seamlessly. And this is an added functionality that you will have with the Citrix environment as well, if you use the WVD and Citrix together. We will adapt to the network conditions. So if the bandwidth goes low, we will adapt. If the packet loss gets high, we will also adapt, and we will have very clever engineering that will benefit in organizations like yourselves and get the benefits of that. So this ensures that users will have the best user experience in the environment of Citrix and the virtualization that we have today. And maybe to touch quickly, as Bradley mentioned, security being top of mind today and will continue to be top of mind. So with our security analytics is a very hot topic in the moment. We can aggregate security events from WVD and from any on-premise VDI, along with the security events from Microsoft Security Graph. And we provide so many methods to really handle the user security threats. And we're actually have recently enabled to export those to Azure Centennial. So rather than analyzing and everything on a different dashboard, you can have this ability to analyze on the dashboard of your choice. Security being built in there. Maybe one of my personal favorite feature here when it comes to security is the keylogger security. Is the capability to protect our environment as well as WVD environment from keyloggers or screen capture, which hackers will use to capture your credential. We also put a watermark on the applications with the username and IP address. So even think about it, if a user tries to capture a screen using a mobile camera, still we can always identify the source of the leakage in that case. So these are, an added security layer that will help to protect your environment, be it a Citrix environment or a combined Citrix and WVD. This will help you from the security aspect. Let's talk a little bit about the Citrix Managed Desktop offering, which comes at the right time and which uses the WVD as the underlying technology and the layer. So this is the first time the desktop can be domain joined or non-domain joined. And we are designing this for using the multi-session Windows 10 that Bradley mentioned, which again help you in the cost saving element of the solution. And it's a subscription based services, so you can easily upsell and upgrade, and it simplifies the network connectivity. So you buy everything from Citrix, you can pay as you go, and it's built on the WVD, and it provides the basic Windows desktop images for our customers. And of course, if you are an existing Azure customer and you already have your tenancy, there is an option to bring your own license here. And as you can see, this is going to with the Citrix, this new pricing will enable you to have the flexibility to choose what works best for your organization in terms of the payments, monthly or otherwise. It includes the Azure capacity, so you can purchase the capacity at any time, which will cover the compute and storage. And if you exceed the capacity that you have purchased, of course, you will be billed for the overage. And it's provide you the flexible desktop sizing, so customer can choose desktops that they would like to deliver to their workers with the low cost option, of course, if needed. So all of these scenarios comes at different use cases that we see in the market, especially nowadays. So bring your own device and working from anywhere, which is our core business, and pay as you go with the monthly services and the temporary use case that are targeted. And the frontline workers, those are the employees who need very simple access to a desktop or applications to get the job done. This is all at a very high level because of the time constraint today, so I'll not drill into this. But if you need to get started today, you can. The link is now on the screen to get you more details about it. So, do I still need Citrix? Just to wrap up and to summarize. With Citrix, you have the choice. It gives the customers and the partners the choice of the deployment. Again, Azure being our strategic cloud, But when the customer has other scenarios of on-prem deployment along with Azure or other clouds, Citrix is the layer that really combines everything and aggregates everything. It's the experience part that we are offering, the unparalleled user experience, especially for things like Teams with WVD. And lastly, but most importantly, is the security element. We give you the security and the analytics for all your sessions. That's it from my side today. Thank you very much. I don't know if we'd have time to take any questions, but thank you, and thank to CDW for hosting this event.
Thanks very much, Khaled. Very informative. Lots to consider there. There are a number of questions that have come up in the Q&A box along the way. Some of them are actually quite complex, so we're actually going to handle them on a one-to-one basis. So if the speakers wouldn't mind staying online with the presenter group, we'll apportion those questions out. But I just like to say thank you very much to everybody for spending some time with us this morning. If you have any questions about remote working, then please obviously do get in touch with us. Also, just to highlight, there are a number of free offerings at the moment to help you get started in the VDI Microsoft space and on Azure and Teams, where you can put together something for a 6-month trial and then pay later. So obviously, all of our partners are trying to be as flexible as they can in these testing times. And if you've got any specific requirements, then of course, do get in touch with myself, Rad, and the team at CDW, and we will include our colleagues from Microsoft and Citrix. Thank you very much. Have a good day and a good weekend. Goodbye.